Our story begins with Lavender, the very first heir of this legacy and the founder of our Simematic universe. What a fucking flex, okay? Lav's entire aesthetic was like lavender, lilacs, light pinks. She was the original vision board, really, okay? She started this legacy with, the basic ones you get straight out of cast. I didn't make her do none of that rags to riches mess. She was spoiled, okay? She was spoiled compared to some of the legacy founders, all right? She ended up using her funds to purchase a little condo or whatever the proper term is out of Solani, and she renovated it with all of her generational colors and stuff, and it turned out super super cute. um, she definitely set the standard for the level of creativity, hustle, and just the right amount of drama, because we need that out here. And Lav was the first one who gave us the first taste of what a generational story could look like, not just surviving, but absolutely thriving. And she laid the foundation for everything that came after. So, Lav, shout out to her. We would not be where we are without her. And that kind of brings us to Generation 2. And I do want to clarify, like, I'm not going over every single detail in this lore. So there are going to be some gaps. Some of those gaps are going to fill in as you just watch the content that's being dropped. Because not every piece is necessary. But I do want to give y'all a basic recap. So that brings us to Generation 2. With our generational heir, Skyler. Okay? Lav had 2 children, a boy named Kindlelander. Because I had to do it, okay? And our other child was Skyler, and she ended up being our heir. And that was a blue generation, very light blue, sky blue, if you will, for Skyler. And then came Skyler, Lav's daughter, and the heir to Gen 2. A whole blueprint for the successful but messy arc. Like, I cannot even emphasize how messy this got out here, dude. Skylar was the classic good girl turned ambitious, right? She graduated early, got straight A's. She even married her high school sweetheart, Sydney Price. For a while, it looked like she was living the dream. But this is The Sims, bro, and you know it couldn't stay that peaceful. Skylar had an affair with Kohei Kudo. But let me tell you, I am not justifying affair, but Sydney cheated on her first. And she wasn't waiting around for a divorce for that. She was like, man, if you want to cheat on me, I'm just going to continue to live my life. And she did. She had 3 children with Sydney, and then she turned around and had 3 more children with Kohei while Sydney was still married to her and while Sydney was still up under her roof. Like, what? Like, and that's just, oh man, there's so much to get into, bro. Like, that's just barely the beginning. But obviously that brought even more drama when she had her 4th baby, but her and Kohei's first baby. I know that's complicated. I know that's wild, but that's how it went. Their marriage went through a lot, but somehow Skylar managed to keep that family stable enough to pass the torch to her kids. And Summer, which was Skylar and Sydney's child, whew, this is a lot. But Summer is going to be our Generation 3 heir. All of the children have personality, but Summer stole the show. Her generation's theme was blue, Skylar's. Calm on the outside, incredibly stormy on the inside. But I don't know, it definitely shaped my generations to come. It really did. And then Generation 3, which is going to be all 6 of the children technically. But since Summer, Apollo, and Amber are already grown up. Like, that's who we're going with. But again, Summer is our main one. So we're in Generation 3, the Yellow Era, and the spotlight is definitely on Summer Price, the heir. Summer is a painter, an artist, and quite a bit erratic, to be honest with you. Literally. She'll randomly start, like, meowing or ranting about conspiracy theories mid-conversation, but that's definitely part of her charm, and that's not always who she used to be. She didn't become erratic until she aged up into a young adult. I don't know what may have been her cause. I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know what it is, because her siblings are erratic as well, but they became erratic when they were teens. Anywho, her business, Summer's Bodega, is a multi-floor cafe / art store that serves as the heart of the family and the heart of the town, quite literally. And she was able to do all of that on top of going to college, on top of moving out as a teen, bro. Literally the most successful team sim I've ever had in any of my legacies and any of my games. She takes the spot, bro. She literally graduated with honors from college with an art degree. And she ate this era up, bro. Like, absolutely ate it up, okay? And she makes so much cash from her bodega. And it's a beautiful story. It really is. Amber is the voice. She's our singer. That's her creative outlet. Summer's an artist. She's our singer, and she's incredibly talented. She also is vibing on the guitar, by the way. That was like her choice of instrument to play on. And she's also, I don't know, she's just so loud expression-wise. But she's my quietest, like, sim. Like, she had the hardest time making friends and stuff. She had a hard time, quote-unquote, living in her sister's shadow. You know, she was the last to move out of the house, but now she's pregnant with her boyfriend Clarence. He's her fiance now. But she's pregnant and they have a baby on the way, which is so freaking cute. I'm so happy for her and Clarence. And she moved out with him, so I know that's just top tier for her. She's pursuing a entertainment career right now. That's what she got out of the house. That was her first job. And she's been, like, clinging on her sister a little more since she's moved out. She calls her a lot more. She used to work at the bodega, but Summer fired her. Not for any personal reasons. Like, she just wasn't bringing the money in at the time. You know what I'm saying? And Apollo, he kind of went off the grid. He's our astronaut, bro. Like, how could he not be? His name was freaking Apollo. Be so for real. He has an entire rocket ship, a wife, and a baby, by the way. Her name is Kinsley May Price. One of my challenges was to name all of my Gen 3's children after, like, famous people and their choice of creative field, right? And I based Kinsley off of a famous black astronaut, because Dakota Page, which was Apollo's wife, she is a beautiful black woman, and they had a beautiful black girl. And I thought that was a cool way to honor that. So that's what I did. And also to keep tying him into the, like, creative aspect, Apollo does like to paint. His favorite, like, genre of painting, I think it's surrealism. Yeah, it's surrealism. Anywho, they all had, like, childhood best friends growing up. they all have like groups and stuff. The girls, they were in "You Art Sitting With Us" instead of "You Can't Sit With Us." I just thought it was like a cute play on words. And they always got to come over to the house and stuff. And same with Apollo, he had a group of guys, and that's actually how Summer and Amber got their men. Like, I don't know, they were literally just shredded from playing basketball and playing soccer and stuff all day every day at the house when they were all growing up. And holy cow, dude, like, Summer, oh my gosh, she has had a crush on her man for years. Like, she is literally enamored with that man, bro. She is so in love with him, and he is so in love with her. I love it so much. But those groups were very tight-knit, and you can see like some family appearances across some of the groups. It's just super cute, and I like to keep that vibe. We're gonna get the Summer and Raphael though, because that is just pure romance. Okay? Raphael's literally Summer's ride or die. They're engaged, by the way. Oh my gosh. They moved in. The day they got married, Raphael's sister fell from height. Like, I didn't even know that was possible, bro. And in the midst of sadness, and in the midst of everything, he still said yes to her marriage proposal. And they moved in together. And I think that's so special, you know? And because I didn't even realize that's what happened. I didn't know. I was like, oh my gosh. And I went into like his genealogy, and I realized, because his sad mood was from a loss in the family. And I went into his genealogy, and it turned out it was literally his freaking sister. She was just a young adult, bro. She was so young. And again, I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know that happened in The Sims. But anywho, he's just an incredibly soft place for her to fall when everything else is a mess. And right now, we're actively trying to grow that next generation. I spent so much time trying to get her to have like a baby and stuff. Them to have a baby, and like every test came back negative. And financially, they're set. I mean, they could just sit on their ass for the rest of the legacy if they wanted to, but we're gonna keep getting that money up, bro. We're gonna keep grinding, we're gonna keep hustling, and one day, like, this could just, I don't even know, like, this could just be insane. But Summer, she's made almost $300,000 in her lifetime just from painting and opening her bodega. That's how she was able to do everything as a team and just knock all that out the way, because she'd been grinding since she could, bro, you know? And that just ties her back into being one of the most successful Sims I've ever had. One of the most successful Sims, period. Not even a team, just Sim, period. So, that's the story so far. That's the drama, the chaos, and it's the growth that got us here, truly. And trust me, I know I was intended to keep this short, and the wildest part was that's not even everything. This was just the surface of everything, bro. The lore is deep here, and the lore is quite messy here. But next episode, we're gonna be prepping. We're probably gonna go ahead and decorate a little bit. We're gonna try and get pregnant, most of all. Like, that's our biggest goal, is trying to get pregnant. And Clarence and Amber are probably gonna have their baby as well. Okay, like, things are gonna get hectic. Drama's gonna get stirred up, because as y'all know, A Sim's Legacy is not canon if it's not chaotic. So I hope y'all enjoyed the recap. I hope y'all enjoyed the lore, and I hope y'all are educated for when we finally drop the first video, ideally, which is going to happen Thursday. So stay tuned. I'll see y'all then.